Once again, good morning, and thank you to HAISA for affording me this opportunity to present on the factors influencing cybercrime reporting behavior in the South African state-owned entities. And thank you as well, Nathan, for coordinating everything, for assisting, and to my other colleagues. This is just a background, a content or an overview of what I'll be discussing on the background, the problem statement, the research objectives and question, a little bit of literature review, hypothesis, research model, the methodology, analysis and findings, and then I'll conclude. So this study is influenced, there are several papers where identity theft, financial theft, phishing, ransomware, cyberbullying, all types of social engineering, cyber stalking, information privacy violations. There's a consensus that there's a significant type of underreporting that is related to this act. And then secondly, even the law enforcement agencies allocate the resources based on the number of reported crimes. So if you can imagine, if these incidents or events are not reported, so even the law enforcement agencies won't be aware, that there's an issue here, and the resources have to be allocated accordingly. And then we discovered that cybercrime reporting may indeed help reduce or diminish cybercrime to acceptable levels. And then also the antidote is companies and institutions may not report cybercrime even though required by law to do so. And we'll see later onwards that sometimes they are concerned about the reputation risk, and the loss of revenue, the loss of customers, the loss of business. And then another point is cybercrime reporting may amplify or diminish cybercrime victimization. So the study acknowledges that there's victims of cybercrime, especially in the context of South Africa. The problem statement of this paper is, although the reporting phenomenon of cybercrime reporting gap has been identified by several researchers, the factors influencing the reporting of this phenomenon of cybercrime have not received a significant attention from the community of cybercrime researchers. So the main objective is to confirm the factors influencing cybercrime reporting behavior in the South African state-owned entities. And hence the research question is, what factors explain employee cybercrime reporting behavior in the context of South African state-owned entities? And then the themes that emerged, when reviewing the literature around this area of cybercrime was, the theme of the perception of cybercrime victims or potential cybercrime victims about the law enforcement agencies' competencies. Some cybercrime victims may feel like, the law enforcement agencies, are not up to speed with the technological advancement. They are not clued up about cybercrime and so forth. And then another theme that emerged from literature was that strongly emerged was emotional responses, especially to cybercrime victims, that victims may choose or intend to report a cybercrime, for an example, if as an example, they want to, if they feel that if they are afraid, for example, that perhaps it will reoccur, the crime will reoccur, they may be intimidated actually not to report it. So, and there are other emotional traits such as the guilt or the shame of reporting the cybercrime, and then the cybercrime awareness among employees of an organization as well is a strong thing that emerged. Victims may not know or that the cybercrime has occurred in their digital space, or they may not even not know where to report the cybercrime. And then the cost-benefit analysis, victims may choose to report if there's a financial compensation, such as an insurance payout, or if they feel that, a perpetrator may be caught, So it is another thing that emerged. And organizations may not report cybercrime incidents to law enforcement agencies if they anticipate the reputational damage that may trigger loss of customers and the resultant revenue drops. And that it may also be cost effective for cybercrime victims to report online. It's very, reporting online is much way cost effective than going there physically. And then the other strong thing that emerged is the ability or the confidence of cybercrime victims in reporting the cybercrime. And then the strong thing that emerged again is the facilitating conditions, which may be knowledge, skills, training and education, policies, organization to report on this phenomenon. Another strong thing that emerged was the anonymity, reporting anonymously. So, and then from those themes, the hypotheses were formed. And the first hypothesis relating to the review of the literature was that the perception of law enforcement agencies' competence influence employee cybercrime reporting behavior. And then the second hypothesis was that emotional response influence employee cybercrime reporting behavior. The third hypothesis was that cybercrime awareness influences employee cybercrime reporting behavior. The fourth one, cost-benefit analysis influences employee cybercrime reporting behavior. And then the fifth one was that organizational subjective norms influence employee cybercrime reporting behavior. And then facilitating conditions, perceived self-efficacy influences employee cybercrime reporting behavior. That's the sixth hypothesis. The seventh one was the facilitating conditions influence employee cybercrime reporting behavior too. And then the last theme is the last hypothesis from that strong theme we discussed on the literature review was that anonymity influences employee cybercrime reporting behavior. And then using the theory of planned behavior, here Ketchny as well was using the theory of planned behavior as the lens. We also use the theory of the planned behavior as a lens, since the themes that were discovered on the literature review, are more aligned to this model. And then we have the different hypotheses there, H1, H2, H3, H4, as discussed in the previous slide, allocated under different constructs, the construct of attitude, the construct of subjective norms, and then under the construct of perceived behavioral controls, we have different subconstructs there. And the cybercrime reporting behavior, the theory of planned behavior was more on the intentions and behavior, although ours more is on the behavioral part. And then the research purpose was classified as explanatory, and the ontological stance of this paper was objective, and the epistemology is positivist. The approach is deductive, as empirical data was collected to verify the existing theory, which is the theory of planned behavior's validity. The strategy, it was quantitative, structured questionnaire were used to collect quantitative information from the employees of South African state-owned entities, and the target population, obviously, it was employees of South African state-owned entities, and the sample strategy used snowball sampling technique. Data was collected online using Qualtrics as a tool, and the analysis of that data collected was, performed and conducted using Statistica, and also SPSS as well was just check on the site whether the results are identical. And then also ethics clearance was obtained from the University of Cape Town's ethics in research. There's an ethics in research committee, and then approval was obtained. Consent was obtained as well from participants prior to taking the online survey. And then participants were informed of what the research was about. And it was voluntary, and it ensured anonymity and confidentiality. Upon analysis of data, factor analysis, validity testing, then the following factors were reliable. As you can see, the Hornbach alpha of 0.7 was used, and as you can see on the far right of the first table, reliability test results, you can see the different Hornbach alpha values there, and also correlation. We can see that there was strong correlation between cybercrime reporting, behavior, and anonymous reporting, cybercrime reporting, behavior, and facilitating conditions, cybercrime reporting, behavior, and self-efficacy. That is the correlation test results on the second table. And then afterwards as well, hypotheses were tested. And out of the 8 hypotheses, only the self-efficacy and the facilitated conditions were confirmed. The others were refuted. The others could not be tested because they didn't pass through reliability and validity testing. Further analysis is that most of the respondents were between the ages of 31 and 40. 45% were males and 52% were females, which was a bit balanced. And most of the respondents have bachelor's degree qualifications, and a significant number of them were from the ICT and academic environments. Majority of the respondents had access to internet for more than 5 years. So as discovered in the previous slide, perceived self-efficacy by cybercrime victims or potential cybercrime in the context of South African, has a significant and positive relationship on cybercrime reporting behavior. The same applies to perceived facilitating conditions. And if you check the the previous slide, you can see this variable here, R squared was 39.15, meaning that the self-efficacy and facilitating conditions account to that 39%, correlation for cybercrime reporting behavior, that influence on it. And then this is the final model. The dotted lines, are those hypotheses that were not confirmed. The green one are those ones that were confirmed. And then, as you can see there, I think it was also, this value was here, the 0.25 from the regression testing. Self-efficacy was 0.25 and facilitated conditions was the intercept values there that was 0.26. And then the study, in conclusion, the study shows that only in this context, only the perceived behavioral control factors, which are self-efficacy and facilitating conditions, influence cybercrime reporting behavior, suggesting that organizations may take advantage of these factors to improve cybercrime reporting behavior amongst the employees. It was limited to the South African context. Perhaps the other limitations could be responses may have been biased, and also snowball sampling was used. Maybe if other judgmental sampling were used, it could have arrived at different results. So that was the other limitation there. And then to understand how to improve self-efficacy, further research can be conducted to investigate what influences this factor. Likewise, facilitating conditions. Future research may therefore consider an improvement in the operationalization of behavioral intentions and those other factors that did not exhibit adequate psychometric properties, such as the awareness, the cost-benefit analysis, organizational subjective norms, and I think as well the anonymity, whose hypothesis did not stand.